Yeah, what up everybody, it's Tuna. In today's video, I wanted to present you guys everything I know about the Affliction mechanic so far, my findings, as well as some of the information I gathered from friends and my Twitch chat. So let's just get on to it. The Vivid Wildwood is going to be the place where you're going to be gathering wisps, and these wisps are going to be empowering the loot that you both get in maps, as well as being a place where you can get additional loot, such as, charms, finding bosses that drop things, as well as, maybe corpses as well that you can buy from vendors, and some other secret stuff like, a unique vendor and all of that kind of cool stuff. So in general, when you get into the Vivid Wildwood, what you want to do is you want to be focusing on following a wisp trail. And if there is no wisp trail in sight, what I like to do is, you get in and you want to be doing a little circle around. And what you want to look for is on the bottom right of your screen, there are gauges that are going to tell you what wisp you are currently gathering. And when you generally see this number go up, as you see with the green number here, you're going to want to be following that trail to make sure that you are topping that up. So the priority here that I like to go for is going to be a blue over yellow and purple. And I'll go a little bit more into detail here why. Blue primal wisps cause monsters in your maps to drop currency items, right? So what it's going to do is it's going to empower these monsters, make them, substantially harder. However, it's going to essentially make it so that items dropped by these monsters are converted to currency. And the way that this works is that if those monsters were to drop more items, more of those items get converted to currency. And the exact ratio as to how many primal wisps you need to convert more items is currently unknown, but I suspect that it is essentially a percent chance based on how many wisps you pick up, and that percent chance is essentially going to add a flat reward to the monsters, aka sort of like, if you were to drop a certain amount of rares, those rares get turned into a certain amount of currencies. Next, it's the wild purple, wisps. They grant additional rarity bonus. And in this case, what rarity does is not only does it give you more unique drops from those monsters, so just like in normal Path of Exile, rarity works in this way that magic items get upgraded to rares and rare items get upgraded to uniques. However, since the Arch Nemesis League, conversion currency tiering has also been implemented in a way where currencies get upgraded to rarer tiers, depending on the amount of rarity bonus that your character have or those monsters have themselves. Meaning that, a blue item will be converted into T3 currency, a rare item will be converted into T2 currencies, and a unique item will be converted into T1 currencies, being Annulment Orbs, Exalted Orbs, and Divine Orbs. And I believe Sextants as well, actually. Next, the Vivid yellow wisps are basically going to be granting you item quantity, and item quantity is generally the most easy one to understand. It causes more items to drop, so it enables more items to be converted into currency, or, in general, if more items are dropped and you have essentially enough rarity, those items are then upgraded to a higher tier, and those higher tier items are then converted into higher tier currencies by the blue wisps. So you are seeing sort of an interaction with how currency is converted and how quantity affects how much of that you get, and how rarity increases the tier of what you're getting is. So essentially, this is the premise of how wisps work and how you can min-max how much currency you get from the League mechanic itself. As the main draw to, getting wisps in your maps is going to be basically dropping currency. As you see, big groups are currently dropping like insane amounts of currency. In some cases, there's even a clip of Empyrean's group dropping 72 divines from one Arch Nemesis monster. And the way that is achieved is, the stars line up. You have a party that is increasing the amount of quantity that you are dropping, as well as a rarity color that is increasing your rarity by an absolute ton, upwards of 400. And then on top of that, you have an Arch Nemesis monster that has an innate huge quantity and rarity multiplier that is then again multiplied by all of the wisps, that are granting additional currencies as well as quantity and rarity bonuses. And that is essentially how you get to these insane numbers of like multiplicative increases of currency being dropped, right? That is how groups are boosting the drops, but how do you do that as a solo player? There are various different strategies that I'd like to present to you guys in general of what you want to look for and how you want to min-max the mechanic, as it is really worth it to farm the mechanic, like solely farm the mechanic and not have any other mechanics in your maps, as this is one of the craziest mechanics that we have ever gotten in Path of Exile. The problem is that right now we are too weak to fight it, or it is too overtuned, or actually both things at the same time, as it feels like anytime I empower above like 4,000 wisps, I am getting Exodia spawning in my map and I get slapped into the next dimension. Something to mention is that you need to be able to, if you get to a certain amount of number of wisps collected, the more you collect, the harder the monsters become in your maps. So you need to gauge how much you can handle and basically tap out at that number. Currently, there is no way to leave the mechanic. I think GGG needs to implement that, as this is what's causing the problem of people being really frustrated with the mechanic. And another thing to know is that you really want to stay away from things like essences and that kind of stuff, because those monsters just become absolutely ridiculous when you empower them, and it is not something you want to pair up with the League mechanic. But now let's talk about how to min-max the mechanic. And the biggest thing that I need to talk about, and the biggest investment that you can, you want to invest in, is pack size, because pack size is gonna multiply everything. It is a multiplier for literally everything that the mechanic provides. What pack size does is it gives you more monsters, and what more monsters do is you get more wisps, because when you are in the Vivid Primewood, you are getting wisps from killing monsters as well, in addition to picking them off the floor. But you are actually getting more of them from monsters than you are of picking them up if you invest into pack size. That is how you get to very high numbers, upwards of 4,000 wisps and stuff like that. So yeah, more pack size equals more wisps, and in turn also more monsters in your maps that those wisps are empowering, and more loot in general. The biggest investment and the biggest bang for your buck if you're going for a Affliction mechanic, a sort of a strategy, is going to be invest into pack size, go for growing hordes, and just get as much of that as possible. Also roll your map as high as possible with as much pack size as possible. And of course, also there are interesting modifiers, like if your map is occupied by like additional things, that is going to be a nice mod to have on your map, definitely, for sure. Next, how that interacts with Eldritch Altars is insane, because Eldritch Altars are going to be further buffing all of the loot that you get from the Affliction mechanic, such as increasing the quantity and rarity of the items that are dropped, which is why it is actually not as beneficial to prioritize the yellow and the purple over the blue, because the blue actually provides something that no other thing in the game does, which is basically item to currency conversion, which is why you want to 100% focus on that. However, another thing to note is that altars provide you with the mod basic currency items dropped by slain enemies have a 42% chance or X% chance to be duplicated, as you can see on the screen. What that means is that all of the currency items that are dropped from the Affliction mechanic are going to be duplicated. So you can get into some pretty crazy scenarios where you're dropping stacks of, of chaos or sextants, or in some cases even divine orbs, and those have a chance to be duplicated, granting like crazy amounts of currency dropping per map. Because of that reason, what we want to do is we want to invest into more altars, and because more altars, as I previously said, give you increased duplicate currency, quantity, and rarity bonuses. So yeah, you want to invest into blue altars, because blue altars, when you pair them up with Eldritch Gaze, you're going to get increased effective upsides. So quantity altars are going to be like 50% increased, as well as duplicate and all that kind of stuff. However, the downside of this is that the downsides are, you get 2 downsides instead of just 1, meaning you're going to need an even stronger character to be able to handle these. So yeah, I do think you should actually read the modifiers, as some of them are going to be negatively affecting your build more than others. For example, if you get like a -60 lightning and cold res and you are not overcapped on those resistances, you're just going to get 1-tapped by everything. So yeah, be careful about that for sure, or overcap your resistance. Yeah, invest into more altars and grab these passive skills, because that means that you're going to be getting more packs, and more packs equals more altars, and more altars equals more juice in general. And where do you want to do that? It's the Jungle Valley map. It's back. The Jungle Valley map is the best map to get altars, because it has no boss altars, meaning, those altars that grant you boss has a chance to drop X currency or whatever, right? What they do is they occupy 33% of the chance of, spawning on your altars. But however, since they don't spawn in this map, that means that you have 33% increased chance of getting the good ones, which are, currency dupe, quantity, and rarity. So Jungle Valley map is just insane, because it has, a decent amount of mob count, as well as having no boss altars, which is just something insane. And it's a nice layout to run as well. And it makes you not feel bad about skipping the boss too, as it's going to be empowered, and empowered bosses are no fun. So that's another bonus there. And yeah, other mechanics that this buffs is, you know, stuff like Harvest Life Force. So if you are actually going for a strategy where you get a bunch of Vivid, which is yellow wisps, those Vivid yellow wisps are going to empower your Harvest monsters, and those Harvest monsters are going to drop increased Life Force depending on how much quantity you have. So not only now can you buff the Life Force from the global quantity of the map, but you can also increase it through Vivid Wisps. So yeah, you're going to be getting a ton more Harvest Life Force that way, but you can also get more Beyond Tainted Currency. So Beyond Tainted Currency not only drops from the bosses, but also from the little minions. And you're going to be getting more of that if you focus on the Vivid Wisps. And you're also going to be getting more currencies as well as logbooks and stuff like that. Or if you're running a blighted strategy, so if you have a blight in your map and you have a more quantity bonus on for example, your boss that spawns in your map, he's going to drop a lot more anointed rings and jewelry, right? Because and then you can actually use extractors to remove oils from those jewelries, giving you just a ton more oils from the blighted mechanic, right? And the possibilities here are endless. There's probably a ton more that I've missed, and I really do ask that if you have a strategy or something cool, you know, reach out to me, because I'm always interested in sharing these things with people. And I think it's more beneficial that the information is out there and more people are experimenting with the mechanic, because the implications of it are insane. For example, I've not yet tested this, but I'd really like to test it. It's Meticulous Appraiser. So Meticulous Appraiser is a keystone, basically modifies the quantity of items found in your maps, instead apply it to rarity of items found in your maps at 300% of their value. So imagine I have 100% increased quantity on my map. You know, on my roll, it's going to give me 300% increased rarity instead. What that does is it makes it so that not many items are dropping in your map. However, because we can offset that by grabbing a bunch of Vivid Wisps, we can actually get a ton of quantity on the monsters themselves, and as well as, you know, getting additional quantity from the altars too, sort of offsetting this downside, but also getting a ton of rarity on top of that, right? So if you do like maybe a strat where previously we would run you know, rogue exiles with, you know, ruckus, and then we would use the sextant also on top of that, possess them, we would get a ton of items from them, and those items will get turned into uniques. And if we then further boost that and multiply the amount of loot that they drop with Vivid Wisps, as well as, you know, all of the kind of stuff that we can get from the Affliction mechanic, I think there's going to be some pretty insane things happening with this keystone, and a lot of, you know, T1 and potentially even T0 uniques dropped if you are running something like this. But it's a strat that I haven't yet run, just an idea that I had, and just an example of the crazy possibilities that are out there, and things that I really think people should explore with the League mechanic, because it is finally a League mechanic that we can actually use to just amplify everything that we currently already have in the game, which makes it very interesting, because it's not isolated like Toda was. It is something that really enhances. It's like the MSG of Path of Exile, right? That pretty much sums up everything I know about the mechanic. There's probably a lot of stuff that I've missed, and a lot more stuff that we have to explore. And this is more just a video as an introduction about everything that I know, because I know a lot of people are curious about this. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you have found this video interesting, or at the very least a little bit entertaining. And I hope that, you know, maybe if you know things about the strategy, reach out to me or write it in the comments. I read all the comments. I might not reply to everybody, but I do appreciate every single one of you guys. You know, thank you for watching the videos. Thank you for being here, and I hope you have a great day. I appreciate you guys. Peace out, guys.